Hi, welcome back to a Messy Painter, and ongoing projects. This one that you see in front of you is probably something that's very familiar. It was a fad, very popular about 10 years ago, and they would put just black, whatever, a branch, a clothesline of birds, whatever, and that was my thinking when I did this. This is acrylic paint, and I was just kind of messing around and kind of got it ready to do something like that. But now, as I look at the pictures, as fads go, it's kind of died out, and not really thinking the same thing with this. So what I am thinking with this is trees. And I've been seeing a lot of trees, and I've started some trees a long time ago, so I'll probably pick those up and start working on them. But I have this template. This is for card making. And all I'm going to use is kind of as an ideal. I don't want to put it on here because this would be black where the silver is, so it's not quite the same thing. So that's kind of my goal, is to do that for this painting. And all I'm going to start out with, and I'm using a small wedged brush. It's a 1/4 inch. And I am going to use, straight black with my liquid. And we're just going to, I don't want real thick trees. I'm thinking more, and I'm also thinking a hill. Kind of like this, so that it's all, and I'll fill this in later with a bigger brush, but this is just kind of what I'm thinking, that it'll be forests, that will be just on this side of the painting, kind of sort of thing. I'm going to cover up all this on this side. And again, this was acrylic, and I'm using oils. So this is going to be considered a multimedia. And it is still rough. It's not, real thin. But I will come back and use a bigger brush. But right now I just want to work on the trees. And again, I am thinning it. I'm thinning the black down, and I am using the wet brush on purpose, because then I can kind of turn it and get skinnier a lot easier. And this kind of takes time, because you don't you kind of get a little lighter as the branches are, further out there. You go over as if the branches are behind. And you're not really thinking in terms of any kind of pattern, so to speak. And so you can make it look whatever you want, however you want it. I'm going to do another one right here. So, they're going to blend in. And this will take a while, because it's all about, adding these little, multi-branches throughout everything. But as you can see, it doesn't have to be exact, and this is one of the things I like about, this whole idea of the bright, the whole brightness, because it turns everything that's is close to it dark because it's so bright. See how I'm going over? And these are kind of the, heavier branches, so they're bigger. But then you just kind of, you're kind of thinking curvy a little bit, but, and if you can tell, I'm not really connecting them, because again, the way the light hits, it could be it's just how you see it. One of the best exercises you can do is to go out and take a walk and just check out trees, because they're all different. Different kinds of trees. Their branches grow different. Now right now these look like, they're one right after another. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add less of the black and more of the liquid and just kind of mimic a multitude back there. Can you tell the difference? Probably not. It's kind of hard to see, but it's kind of, they're there, but that you can't really see them. And then I'm going to go back to my thick and add another one right here. I have to get more black. And I probably will go over this a little bit more heavier because I can see the grain, and I'm running out of black. And so the trees that are, closest to you are going to have the heavier branches. Close to you. See how that just kind of, as the paint wears out or goes less and less available on the brush, it gets lighter, and it's perfect for showing the illusion of distance, showing three-dimensional on a two-dimensional platform. Again, but you don't have to be exact. That's the nice thing about this, is that, you don't have to. And if you don't like it, you just kind of, keep doing it. This is probably one of the easiest exercises for doing, free flow, what I call free flow, because you're just allowing the brush to kind of do whatever it wants to do. So I just put that one in front of the other one. So you're seeing a little bit more of this. And then you have the trees that are way back there. what am I putting in now is just, you know, looks like blades of grass, that's all. So it's not just a straight line. There's more going on than just what you would normally see in this style of painting. And I think I really like having birds in a painting. So I think we'll put a couple of birds in here. And they're the easiest to make because they're just like that. And the smaller they are, the further away they are. Just like that. And I try to do things in threes. There's just something about that odd number. I am going ahead. I'm going to leave some of this, I think, showing through because it shows some kind of structure to the hillside. Again, we'll see. And one of the part I am doing is that where the acrylic paint kind of pulled away from the canvas, there's little white specks in there, and so I'm kind of trying to fill those in with the oils. But you know, that's really not a big deal. And one of the things you can do is just kind of put more ideas of grass as well. Where there's a little bit kind of more of a bare spot, it picks up the sun more. The sun catches it. I don't know if you can see that. But this is one of the ones that, you know, is kind of easy to get away with more impressionistic strokes as well. And again, grass grows in all different directions, so you just kind of moving your brush, you know, back and forth, trying not to make it look like, you know, you're doing the same thing over and over again. And you know, once this dries, I may come back in, you know, and just do some heavier grass here and there, just to kind of give it, you know, some more dimension and more character, more interest type thing, like that. Yeah, I like that. I hope you guys too do as well. So there is that one. Now, I have another one that I want to show you, and it's this. And this is one of those vision things that I saw before. So the vision was just seeing this gal, you know, walking in the moonlight, and the moon just kind of makes her dress and herself kind of glow. And so this was me prepping the canvas, but also kind of going ahead and establishing kind of what I saw, so I don't forget it. Of course, this has been a while. So how I want to do this one is I want to work on the trees. I think I'm going to leave the sky kind of the way it is. I might come back in later. But usually I see pine trees. So usually when I do pine trees, I use a fan brush. But the fan brush I have right here is kind of on the big side. So let's see what I have over here. So this is my fan brush, not very big. I have no idea what size it is. And I'm just kind of loading my brush. Now, the pond is basically kind of surrounded. And the best thing, I mean, if you watched, Bob Ross, I mean, he's kind of one of the best when it comes to making trees and that kind of stuff. And you can I don't know if you can see it or not, and but that's okay. I can see it, and I'm going to put highlights in a minute. And you can make the pine branches, go up or go down, because pine trees do both, depending on the type. And I tend to go down. I'm not sure why. It's because I guess I just do. But I'm going to probably need some more paint because it's not thick enough. And it's not like you're going to see a lot of what's going on, just because, it is a night scene. So if I wanted to kind of, let the got a dry throat all of a sudden. So the moonlight is showing on the one side. And all I did was add a mixture that I already had going that was like kind of like a tan. Because it's not about the trees. So I don't know if you can see those. A little bit you can see there. So it's really not about the trees all that much. I did get a little brighter there so you could see them better. Like that. I do need more paint, so let me get more paint. I'm not sure if this is the color I used or not, so we'll just see. This is sap green. And it is not the fast drying matte one. So I'm going to wipe off what I had because it had the gray. And I'm going to get a little bit kind of thicker here. And really it's just kind of going back and forth. And as you go down, you get wider and kind of thicker. And again, Bob Ross, I mean, the wet on wet technique makes trees really easy to make. Now for me, and usually in my type of paintings, I'm going to put one there, and probably a bigger one here, all the way down. And they're usually thinner at the top and thicker, at the bottom. And you're going to run right into that tree. In this case, probably because it's going to be, I want this one to be further behind. I'll probably go back over it a little bit once I do the highlights, because really those are going to be kind of covered up from the tree in front. And again, this is, you know, looking at trees in all different settings is a really good way to observe. I just added a little bit black, that's all. And because it's so dark, it needs to be so now I'm going to go back over to my tan. I'm going to do this side first, this tree. And so you go kind of a little bit in front as well because of the trunk. And I'm going to go back over to my solid and kind of go in front of this one. Because it's going to be further back. And again, and I'm using kind of the more the corner of the fan brush versus the whole thing. And for me, glazing, when I get to the glazing part, I kind of fill them in more, if that makes sense. Because they kind of look scrawny, at least for where I'm seeing them. But that's okay, that's a type of tree as well. But you can see how they go in front of the trunk. And again, there's no rhyme or reason, you know, to it. Now, to lighten this from the tan perspective, just to kind of get them more, so you can see them more, I'm adding the yellow that I already had on my palette, that's all. Just like that. Now, I'm going to go back into, kind of get this light stuff off, my black, because with the moon coming this way, that means there's, whoops, not too much black left. I'll just have to make it with my blue. This back part here will be the shadow part. And two, this part over here is, I really want this to be more shadow as well. So like I said before, this was, you know, all I've done was like the first cover the canvas so it's not white type thing. And so the further away from the moon you get, you know, the darker it's going to be. So that's really what I want to happen. Here. And since my background is actually a type of blue, I think it's not ultramarine, even though that's what I'm using on it right now. It's the Prussian blue, but you know, that's okay. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of smear this tree a little bit because it is going into the shadows. So all of this needs to be in shadow. And so I need to find my Prussian blue, I think, for that. Got a lot of brushes going. I really like my palette. I know some artists, you know, they turn their nose up at using, you know, styrofoam plates. But shoot, they are so easy to just throw away. And what I'm using, what it's in, is from One Step Painting, and which makes it really handy. So what I just did is I put a little bit of blue, or a little bit of black, more black on my palette. Cobalt blue hue, I don't want that one. Ultramarine blue, this is what I kind of was using already, so I think I might just put some more of this on there. And a lot of artists, I've said this in the past too, is that they, you know, they mix all their colors right up front. And I have to tell you that bores me to tears. It just, you know, I mean, what's the fun in that? You know, I guess I was maybe a finger painter, you know, when I was younger. I don't know. But, I don't know. I mean, I've watched a lot. I mean, one of my favorite artists out of New Zealand, Robert Robertson, he does more impressionistic, beautiful paintings. And, you know, he's the one that will just, you know, put a mark, and it's just perfect. And yeah, it's just something that kind of bores me, which, you know. So I just decided that I love to paint, but I want to paint it my way. And that's one of the reasons why I call myself that. The messy painter. I'm messy painter. I gotta be careful with that one, because I think on YouTube there's a lot of people out there that say they are the messy painter. But so the moonlight's basically showing on the edge of the water right up to the shore. I don't know if it's the paint I'm inhaling or what, but something's got my throat itching all of a sudden. So, and this is the kind of the same thing going on right here. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can lighten this a little bit. I have a little bit of, ooh, that's, I have a little bit of aqua, brilliant aqua on my thing, so let's see how this goes. I know my moon isn't quite circular. I did it freehand, and so I will work on that. But right now, I just want to do another halo around it. And that also covers up, you know, some of the canvas that has a little marks. Well, you can't really see what I'm doing, can you? See, every so often I actually look over at the camera to see, you know, if I'm in your way or not. And I tend to be in your way a lot. So I apologize for that. It's kind of hard to try to be in front of a painting to paint and then and then out of the way for you to watch. So I like that. I hope you guys do too. Can you tell the difference? So it's got this glow that's going on. And I didn't go right up to the moon because one, I need to correct the actual circle. And two, when I do that, we're going to be to the glowing part. So as I get further away from the the moon, I will also think about putting stars in. So now, see how I decided to change? I was, basically just filling in, but I decided to go ahead and do my circular because, the moon is circular and it glows. And I don't want to go into her glowing. I really like what's already laid down right there. So, so I will leave that. And just like that. Now, the further you get away from the moon, the darker it gets. It's pretty obvious, but I'll blend it in a minute. And I probably should have done this a little bit more before I put the trees in. But I actually like what's going on back there. So I'm not going to cover it completely. I'm just going to do a little bit here towards the top because the top is going to be the darker place. And again, when you paint, the best way to paint, in my opinion, is to have, I don't know, you have a plan, but you're ready to not follow it if necessary. Now, as I was doing this, what I thought all of a sudden is that, well, what if the trees glowed as well? So that means it's going to be black so far in between. What if they glow as well? And one, that will make them stick out more.
Did you see my text?
Shh. And I'll be right back. So I kind of have this V going on here, which is okay. There's things that happen in the atmosphere that, if we looked close enough, we would see things. But most of the time, we just don't pay attention. Now, again, I might come back and after looking at this for a while say, I don't think I like that. So we'll see. But see, we have there's a moonlight going on, but she's also glowing. So there's more going on with her than just, just being hit with moonbeams. And again, I'm using liquid to make this glow, which, I like to use liquid. And I put more black in this one, which I probably shouldn't have. So I'm going to put more blue back in it. But, so I'm going down into her aura, I guess you could say. So I'll have to lighten that up once it dries, which is fine. It makes it more. But I really want contrast. And that's what I saw. I saw you know, a very dark vision as in nighttime dark. Not dark as in evil. That's just a low vibration we don't need to participate in. Unless you like that kind of stuff, but I advise not to. Now, I don't know if you can see it on this side. It's probably just out. But I put a lot of thick paint right there. And so I really like that thick paint. I like what it's doing right there. So if you're going to use thick paint, this is the time to do it. I do like texture in my paintings. And in the past I've used, you know, that's why I use the liquid, is to create, you know, the textures. Again, I will have to go back over that. You know, I use the liquid in a way to mimic textures. And, you know, that's when I started using the crushed gemstones. And I might put some magnetite on this just for texture. I mean, after all, we are 3D. We are not 2D. And again, I'm just trying to put paint on to create the texture. That looks good. I like that. So, again, once the trees dry, I can do a whole lot more around them. I probably should have done that to begin with. But, you know, that's okay. You just go with the flow. And again, I think that's why I like my paintings, because, you know, even if I change my mind, what happens with them, with the layers that take place, I just really like. So, yeah, I'm just adding more dark in here. That's all I'm doing. And I could pick up my fan brush and do the same. Sometimes, you know, the way I, you know, use that fan brush, it almost looks too symmetrical, in the sense that, you know, branches don't usually grow that way. But I am really excited about this painting, in the sense that, you know, it was when I had the vision, it was a pretty cool vision of just one of peace, you know, because we don't understand the workings of the vibration of the moon anymore. And yet, you know, in ancient times, they were able to learn so much from using the moon like a clock in their lives. And it's an art that we have, or a skill that we have lost. And especially for women, because our cycles, I don't know if you knew this, tend to work according to the phases of the moon. And so, which I found fascinating. That's something I just learned. And then men have cycles as well. They don't know it, but they do. And theirs follows the movement of the sun. So those, you know, ancient things that we've been taught that were, you know, woo-woo, or, you know, from ignorant people, unknowledgeable people, you know, they probably knew more than we did. They just didn't communicate it like we do. And so we've lost it. But I think I want to stop because this all has to dry, and then I need to step back because it's kind of looking too, I don't know, too something. And so I want to be able to kind of change it a little bit. So it's got too much, it's gotten too broad in the light color here. So I want to just kind of darken it down. Make it rounder again. I really like high contrast. So the whole idea of this painting is about the moon and the feminine. I'm going to darken this up a little bit so it has a chance to dry, and then I can come back and do other stuff with it. Because now it's about, when you get down further, it's about her. Okay, I like that. One last thing that I want to do, and that is just kind of give some definition to her hair, because it's actually kind of up in a bun type. And so it's kind of going to be darker. In places. So since I have the paint on my palette, I'm just going to go ahead and use it. And now, you know, when you paint hair, it's just kind of, I don't know if you can see that any better. So I added the black that was already on my brush to the tan that I already had going on. And so she's kind of got a bun going on up there. But I want to be able to be a little bit of a contrast. Got some bangs, just like that. And then I'll work on her face, because it's not really all that important, in the sense that it's not about realism in the sense of exact. Okay, so I will call this quits, and see you in a bit. Thanks for joining me and being part of A Messy Painter. Bye-bye.